Hello and welcome to the Wolves Report. I'm Ryan Lester and thank you for joining us for episode 155. Tonight we'll give you our player and match analysis of Wolves' 3-1 defeat to Chelsea. We'll be assessing the transfer window and the job that Rob Edwards has done so far. Take some of your questions, look ahead to Wednesday's game against Forest and Sunday lunchtime's game against Grimsby Town. Got a full team in tonight. Nocky, club captain, Tyler, director of football, master of disagreement, but here we are. Let's get straight to business. Nocky, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Chelsea 3.
I was going to try and be positive about the first 10 minutes, but...
Well, we may as well do, because that's all that's going to happen in terms of positivity.
Yeah, but I don't really want to, because it was that much of a shambles. I don't think we should. Look, for 10 minutes we were okay, but I didn't understand the setup. You're playing against a team that love to attack you from wide positions. They've got Neto and Cucurella one side, they've got Gusto, and then Palmer will drift off to the right on the other side, and they've got real quality on both flanks. So we decide to drop the wing backs, go to 4 at the back, go what looked like a 4-2-3-1, completely narrow the team and let them just run us ragged. Didn't understand that at all. And for 10 minutes, to be fair, it did look like maybe it was working. But the first goal went in and we just mentally collapsed yet again, very similar to the Bournemouth game. And then we didn't get out our own half for the rest of that half. Gave away 3 utterly ridiculous goals. The first one, Doherty's so experienced. I mean, I think he should have been put out to pasture a couple of years ago, to be honest. The fact he's still playing in a Premier League side and the fact he's captain and starting at right back for some reason, he's bizarre to me. But a tackle he doesn't need to make when the player's heading out the penalty area. And as soon as that one hit the net, the game was over. You might as well have just gone home at that point, because we just completely collapsed. The shoulders dropped. Heads dropped, the fear factor came in and they didn't look like they were going to be competitive. We give away another really stupid goal. I mean, whether it's inside the box or outside the box, for me, is completely irrelevant. It's an absolutely ludicrous decision to go and deck a player who's running towards the corner flag. No reason to do it. And this isn't the first time Mosquera's made a rash decision. And then the third goal, we just leave the most dangerous man on the pitch completely free on the penalty spot to smash in to make it 3-0. So completely self-inflicted wounds yet again. You could argue we rallied in the second half. It was probably because we switched the system, went back to a 3 and gave ourselves a little bit more of a foothold. But I think it was the fact the game was done. Chelsea switched off. It's probably easy to play when you're 3-0 down, isn't it? Because the game's already gone. You can settle into it and just have a kick around, really. We did show a little bit more. Look, there was some positives. I thought Angel Gomez looks a proper footballer. He's definitely in the shop window for the end of the season to stay in the Premier League, I assume. And I liked Armstrong's movements. But other than that, I thought it was a relatively gutless display. And I think they folded like a deck of cards as soon as the ball hit the net. And it was pretty pathetic after that, to be honest. So 3-1's damage limitation. It could have been a lot worse, but I think Chelsea just took the foot off the pedal.
Tyler, before we go and talk about the ridiculous penalties that were completely self-inflicted, can you try and explain to me why we would switch to a back 4 against Chelsea?
I think I texted you both Saturday morning, didn't I, saying this is either extremely brave or extremely stupid, and I think we figured out which one it was. The only logic I've got is Nocky text back saying maybe he wants to go to a 4 next season, he's trying to bed it in, but yeah, you don't do that at home to Chelsea, do you? And like Nocky said, their players are world class, and with them Enzo, Casado, you don't choose to do it in that game, do you? Especially when there's just no reason to. You know, he shoehorned the new signings in by the looks of it to get them in the team and play that 4. But if Krejci's available, Krejci plays all day, all you know. I don't understand the guys. We'll come on to him in a bit. I never wanted him in the first place, but I think he's showing his tactical true colours now, and there was just no need for it. And the goals came from exactly where I thought they would. The first goal, although Doherty was stupid, Bueno was isolated, 1-on-1 being Neto, got bullied, and the cross came in. The third goal came from the wide area again, squared. All the goals came from those areas. Even the Mosquera penalty, that's where Krejci probably would have been standard if you've got a back 3. There's just absolutely no need and no reason to do it. And that's what your pre-seasons are for, and that's when you work on that sort of thing. But absolute suicide from Edwards. And like Nocky said, we only sort of got it respectable because Chelsea gave up. I'm just sick of teams coming to Molineux not having to get out of second gear and having the easiest game of their life. There's only so much of that you can watch, and whether it's Brentford, whether it's Bournemouth, whether it's Chelsea, it's just embarrassing. The whole club from top to bottom is embarrassing. And I know I'm going off piste, but Edwards' decisions on Saturday were embarrassing, and he should be called out for them.
Yeah, I think they need calling out, Nocky, and obviously we've talked a lot in sort of on sort of the podcast group chat, and we've pretty much made our feelings clear. And there's a section about Rob, so I'll save a little bit for then. So just keep it on the tactics, Nocky. You talk about, or maybe he's got one on next season, but you don't do that against Chelsea. We were approaching the Man City game, and we'd found out that Tolu made us better. Dropped him at Man City. The game was over at half time. There's no way back into it. You're playing against another good side, and he's overthinking it. Now, people are saying, oh, you know what I mean, there's nothing to lose on this or that. Well, people are paying a lot of money and still going, and you're playing against the big side, and you've rolled the dice tactically, and the game's over again at half time. I can accept losing to the better side, but that's tactically twice now on the bounce against better sides where we have a shape that has done well against big teams where you can tuck in and frustrate. You've rolled the dice to do something better, and the game's over at half time, and it's miserable.
But there's got to be a reason he's done it. And there's two thoughts going around my head. The first one is that's the shape he wants to go to next season. So he's trying it out. But surely that can't be the reason, because you do that maybe at Grimsby when you've got a game that you should on paper win, not against a team with their quality. The only other one I can think of is that he was desperate to get the two new signings into the team, but he also wanted to keep Hwang. So that's the only formation that he could really do it. Because for me, you stick with the same formation. Angel Gomez comes in for Andre, and then you put you take Hwang off and you play Armstrong. You keep the same system, but you just change your personnel slightly. That's the only changes I would have really made, unless Krejci was fit to start, and then he comes straight into that team. So I couldn't understand the logic behind it. Hwang, for me, I know that it feels like we dig him out every week, but there's a reason for that. He's crap, and he causes us problems every single time he plays. There's no benefit to having Hwang Yi-Chan on the pitch. There's just absolutely none. But I also think the players are getting away with this. Edwards is going to cop a lot of flack for it. This is pathetic. This season is utterly pathetic. We're 9 years into our Premier League campaign, and we're on 8 points in February with an away match coming up. We almost seem to accept it. It was kind of clapping the players off at the end of the game. There's no anger. There's no frustration. I don't want people smashing at Molineux like we've seen in the past, but I want a little bit of anger, a bit of frustration, a little bit from the players as well, to see that they care. They didn't lay a glove on anyone. They didn't smash anyone on the pitch. There's no passion. They're getting off so easily at the minute. And as much as Edwards was at fault, because he absolutely committed suicide with that lineup, it was ridiculous. The players take responsibility as well, because they keep capitulating and they keep folding as soon as they face any kind of adversity, and that isn't good enough. Yes, we've cleared out some of the players. We've sent out Strand Larsen, who was brilliant today for Palace, by the way, winning headers against Dunk. But the players who are there now have got a responsibility as a minimum requirement to show something on the pitch, to fight for the shirt, to give us something to take with us into next season. I'm not seeing any of that, and I think they're getting off far too easy.
I'm glad you kept it to the Chelsea game.
Sorry, I think I may have filtered off the question then, son, but I've been a little bit wound up today. Apologies.
Brilliant.
Look, you're going. I think we all knew the new signings would start, and rightly so, because there's no way anyone can keep them out of the team. You've not scored a goal for 2 weeks. You got the new players coming in, but this formation and setup, a couple of things I really struggle to understand. Our best defender is Krejci by a million miles. He's one of the few players that can come away with this season with any credit, because he's offered a bit of composure. He's brought the breast out of Hugo Breno. He's comfortable. He's done okay. He looks like value for money, somebody that will probably get sold for a profit, someone I don't think's really let us down. He's surrounded by some average footballers. He's done okay. He's been training all week again. He can't get unfit from a few days of flu. He's fine. No. He doesn't start. Hwang Yi-Chan.
What minute did he come on? When did he come on? Was it
second half, wasn't it?
Was it? Yeah.
Yes,
he's obviously fit enough to start. Yeah, like you said.
Of course. So not only that as well, in terms of, again, I like Mosquera. He's made a stupid mistake. Santi doesn't deserve to be dropped. He's someone that deserves a run in the team because he's been okay. So the second part of the four at the back, was Hwang-Hee-Chan. Now, again, we hammer Hwang on here, and rightfully so, because he's been terrible. But if he does play well, we acknowledge it. Now, what I would say is, when he's moved centrally with Tolu, we've seen a slightly better version of Hwang because we've been playing to his strengths. Now, it's not always been good, but you've seen a slight improvement.
Yeah.
So he's managed to shoehorn him in the team and change the system. So you've played Armstrong in a weaker position because he's better down the middle. You've moved Hwang out wide. He's better down the middle. So of the front four, you've got Mane in the 10. You've got the two wide players either side of him. So two of our front four are playing out of position to try and shoehorn them in the team. Can you please try and make sense of that?
No. We came here a few weeks ago, and I think Edwards probably struck lucky with that formation, with the one holder in midfield, the 2 eights, and then, you know, he struck gold. We looked like an organised, half decent football team again, and he's just totally backed off it. The team is crying out for that formation. You'd have heard me on here years ago say Wolves need to go to back four, but not now, not with the personnel and the players we've got now, because it's just not right. The team picks itself. Our 11 for me picks itself at the moment, and like you, I'm flabbergasted he's changed it, but he has to now have, you know, Gomez probably in the pivot, with João Gomez and Mane as the 2 number 8s, Tolu up front, and then he can choose who he wants to play off Tolu. That's down to him. But having Doherty at right back, Hwang on the right-hand side out of position, like you mentioned, Armstrong, I would have been averse if Armstrong started the game on the bench. I don't think he necessarily needed to come in and start the game. You know, Hwang, I agree with you, is dreadful, but at home, off Tolu, in the last few games, has had moments where he's looked okay. Bellegarde's another option if you're playing that formation that could come in. It just made absolutely no sense for Hwang to start, and I'm one of them conspiracy theorists, but there's got to be something written in his contract for him to play. There just has to be, because if you're basing it on form, he's nowhere near it. And again, if he's injured on the Pope, there's no way he's injured. He just didn't fancy it and went off. It's embarrassing. And Nocky's right. You want to see the players show a bit of fight, a bit of passion. And yeah, there's just nothing. But to answer your question, you'd have to ask Rob, really. And again, it's a bit of a shame that sort of the journalists haven't really sort of come out and really questioned him on that. Why have you made the change? What's your thinking? What's your thought process? He's getting away with murder. Nocky says the players are getting. I think Edwards is getting away with murder as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, moving on again to the selection conundrum, Nocky. Why is Matt Doherty starting right back in the Premier League game? Now, I don't know if Matt Doherty would have been surprised himself. I don't know. But Matt, I think he's like a club cult hero. He's been there with some good times. There's been some bad. He definitely cares. I liked it when he came out and sort of dished out the cowards thing. But Matt Doherty, to me, didn't look fit. And I don't think he's ever been somebody that can play fullback in the Premier League. Yet at 34 and looking not match fit, he's decided that he's the best option. Now, Chachwa has been dreadful, but he can run and he can stop people running past him. I don't know why Matt Doherty was in the team, Knocker, and that's not a slight on Matt Doherty. I just don't understand why you pick a back four. Your right backs your fullbacks need to be athletes now, up and down, fast and strong. Matt's got a football head and he's committed, but he's not sort of in the condition for me to be a Premier League right back.
I mean, I love Matt Doherty. I think his career at Wolves, he's been brilliant. He's one of the best pound for pound signings we've made. But he should be nowhere near that starting 11. I mean, if he was a horse, you'd shoot him, wouldn't you? He's got nothing left in him, nothing left in the tank at all. He's absolutely dry. And
I don't think he was match fit, mate. He didn't look to me, right, that he looked to me like a yard short, and that didn't seem to make any sense.
But the only reason I can think he's played him there is because he wants a little bit of experience that side. But it makes no sense to me, because if you're going to put him in that kind of position, it has to be as a wing back, because he's never really played fullback. He's never played it to any success. So it makes no sense to me to do that. And if you've got to start looking towards next season, but sensibly. Doherty is not going to be our starting right back next season, surely not. So you're looking at Rodrigo Gomez playing there. If you think Chichua can do something, give him some more minutes and see if you can develop him. Or you got Pedro Lima who can play there as well if you're going to keep him. To put Matt Doherty in, made no sense to me. The only reason you play Doherty is if everyone else is injured, and that's the only option you've got left. So I don't understand it. It's similar to the Hwang situation, but what is it? 4 managers have thought that Hwang's the right player to start for us, and he gets in. So there's got to be something in that. But Doherty, you're putting him in a really bad position now, aren't you? I mean, he can be a makeshift centre half, and he can be there.
Yeah, right over 3. I think he's done okay, and that's somewhere I don't mind because it suits him. He can read the game. He's reasonably good on the ball. He's aggressive and he's quite strong. But you ask him to be in a position where you need to be up and down at wing back or full back. I think the manager's put him in a situation that's not fair.
But he should be, if he's going to play in a back 3, it should be when we're really in trouble, when we've got injuries, every now and then, maybe in the cup. He should never be starting games. And to put him in at right back, I just don't understand what the logic was, because that was never going to work. The pace they've got, even though Rodrigo's not probably the best defender, he's got pace, and pace can get you out of trouble. To put Doherty there, it made no sense to me, especially when you know how Chelsea play and you know they love to hit you down those wide areas. Cucurella, he's more of an attacker than he is a fullback. He's always getting up that pitch. So it was never going to work. It was one of a long list of baffling decisions that he made on Saturday.
Yeah, really strange. Moving on to the game itself, Tyler. I mean, we've covered it a little bit in this, but it needs talking about. I mean, how not to defend for that first goal. I think Hugo Bueno is bullied. I think Mascara scuffs his clearance. And then Matt Doherty makes the most unnecessary challenge. Now, is it soft? Yeah, it's really soft. But you don't need to be trying to tackle somebody when they're running away from goal and the ball's getting close to being out of play. For me, the 3 things in that goal, it should never have got to that situation. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. If we're playing with 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs, I don't think that situation happens. We'll never know. But Hugo Bueno bullied, Mascara scuffed it, unacceptable tackling from Matt Doherty.
Yeah, it's Groundhog Day, isn't it? Start the game brightly and then concede a really soft goal. And you talked enough about Doherty today, but the one thing that you should have as a 33-year-old experienced footballer is just that, a bit of nous and a bit of experience. The kids, Pedro's just going away from goal. There's absolutely no danger. And it's the most stupid tackle I've ever seen, apart from the one we're probably going to talk about in a few minutes. But it's just self-destruct, isn't it? And yeah, you can blame Rob for picking the team and stuff, but Rob doesn't put those tackles in. Rob doesn't make stupid decisions, but it's probably just a sign of where the team, the club is. Like I said, it's an embarrassment, isn't it? And yeah, someone who's 33, who's been 34, been there, done that, worn the t-shirt. It's pathetic defending. If my lad's team did that on a Sunday,
you don't do that.
It's harsh to say it's a schoolboy error, because that's harsh on schoolboys, to be honest. But
the thing is that we talk about this all the time, Tyler, in terms of modern football, and we agree. I mean, we talk about our different views on the game and how soft the game has become. But if you put your hands on somebody or kick somebody, they're going to go down. Don't give them the opportunity. I mean, it's soft, but it's a penalty, and it's really disappointing.
They're both penalties.
Nocky, moving on to how not to defend part 2. Yerson Mosquera, I've stuck it for him a lot. I like his housery, but this for me, inside or outside the box, is just totally unacceptable. I'm not sure he's going to particularly advance towards goal when he pushes him. I don't think he's going to be one-on-one. It doesn't seem to make any sense whatsoever. Now, I know Yerson's physical and he's very committed, but this isn't like a shoulder barge or a nudge. This is a blatant two-handed push. And again, you give an opportunity to the player to throw himself down. The foul starts outside the box, but the push ends inside the box. And that's why it was given us a penalty. Again, completely unnecessary.
Yeah, I think it's a penalty all day long, and I want a penalty if that's against my team. I don't know what he's trying to do. You're never, ever going to get away with that in or out of a VAR era. 2 hands on the back, a clear shove, and he goes over. He's not going anywhere, is he? He's not bearing down on goal. You maybe understand it if he's in on goal and there's maybe a rush of blood and a bit of panic and you deck him then. But to do it when he's going absolutely nowhere doesn't make any sense to me. But he's got that in him, hasn't he? He's got those rash moments, and I do think there's a good defender in there somewhere. The problem is you can't carry someone who's going to make those continuous errors that end up costing you points. It was just brainless. And you give a team like Chelsea, with the quality they've got, a 2-0 head start, the game's done and dusted. It's finished at that point. So just really disappointing. And we got away from this a little bit of giving these soft goals away. We were making teams work for goals against us, which is what you need to do. but we've just sort of reverted back now, and we're making these rash decisions. And the Doherty one, again, he's going out the goal. You don't need to do that. He's heading towards a corner flag. Player of his experience, as Tyler rightly said, should never do that. And Mosquera's experienced enough now to know that that's never going to end well. So just two absolutely ridiculously rash decisions that have taken the game completely away from us, because we were actually doing okay at that point. We were having a bit of a spell. So really frustrating.
Yeah, disappointing. Shortly after that, it was confirmed the game was over, Tyler. Cole Palmer, just one of the most naturally gifted tens in world football, was allowed to stroll in the penalty box and just slap it into the top corner, completely unmarked. 3-0, easy peasy, game over. Thanks for your ticket.
Yeah, far too easy from start to finish. It wasn't just Palmer that had the freedom and Molyneux. It was Cucurella who got the assist. Just so easy. But again, I don't necessarily think it happens that easily if you've got your 3 centre halves and your 2 wing backs. I think all goals are probably, well, they are avoidable, aren't they? Any goal's avoidable, isn't it? Any game of football. But like Nocky said, to make it so easy for your opponents, and I think that's where it's sort of almost the final straw for a lot of people, because we can all take losing, even the run we've been on. But like I said, teams aren't getting out of first and second gear against us. And they just know as soon as they score the goal,
it's over.
Game over. Job done. This team have got no backbone. They've got no cojones, for want of a better phrase. They're pathetic, all of them.
Yep.
And Edwards himself, that's where we're at now. The team are a disgrace, and I've got nothing positive to say. Nocky tried to sort of start it with a couple of positives. Angel Gomez, looks a real good player, but give him a month of being with these clowns and he'll be at the same level. So I just hope for his own career he does well and gets a move that he deserves, because the club's rotten and the team are rotten, and there's nothing to like about any of them.
Before we move on to go through the players, which I'm sure will be quick, swift and brutal, Nocky, some of these performances on Saturday, they are scored by errors. But I can't help but looking at some black. Yeah, Rob Edwards has got no control of someone's actions on the pitch. But I think we are putting players in positions that are exposing their limitations. We haven't give goals away like that for a long, long time. You switch to a back four now, and they're all looking like they've never done it before. So for me, equally, yes, the stupid penalties, but the manager for me has put these players in situations they aren't good enough to be in.
He has, but I still expect a level of professionalism from the players. And look, we understand losing, don't we? As Wolves fans, the amount of time we've been watching this club, you're going to lose a lot more than you win, and you know that you can deal with that. But I think there's acceptable ways to lose football matches, and I don't think that was it. Regardless of the selection Rob puts out, for that first 10 minutes, we're in the game, we're in their half, we're putting them under a little bit of pressure, not creating anything clear cut, but we looked a little bit dangerous. But then as soon as that goal goes in, everyone's head collectively just dropped, and they gave up, and they did give up. They stopped playing, they stopped trying, they wanted to get rid of the ball as quick as they could. No one was taking responsibility or taking the game by the scruff of the neck. That's not on Edwards, that's on the individual players and their passion and desire to fight their way to something of a credible season. So yes, he got it absolutely wrong, and he should be called out, and he has been called out. But the players take the responsibility as well, because they're the ones who folded when that ball hit the back of the net, and that's unacceptable.
Just one final thing, Tyler, before we go onto the players. You could say it was like game over in both these situations. 2-0 at Man City half-time, switched it. Wolves look like they're going to get back in the game. They actually played quite well. Granted, were Man City in control probably, but you go to your natural shape, you put the big man on, Wolves start playing football. You change it at half-time to the natural shape, Wolves start playing more football. Granted, the game was over and Chelsea probably could have upped it. But twice now we've had to revert back to what we should have done in the first place. And for me, that's a worrying concern that we're going to keep rolling the dice against these good teams, and it's over by half-time. And then we accept it. Although I've not seen Rob acknowledge it. He's explained tactically why I did this and why I did that. I don't think he's ever gone, do you know what, I got that wrong today and that's probably on me. But I would like to hear that. But it is strange how we keep switching back to actually what's worked for him to get the win in some of the draws.
Yeah, there is that little side to him, isn't there, where he seems a little bit arrogant.
Reluctant to acknowledge, I need to own this today.
Yeah, and I agree with you there, and that is concerning. And he's got that side to him, hasn't he? He comes across Mr. Nice Guy, and I think we talked about him like he'd be the cool dad on the playground, wouldn't he? All the moms would fancy him, and all the dads would want to go and have a pint with him. And he's got that charisma, he's got that charm, but there's just a little something there, isn't there, in him? I'm not quite convinced about. And yeah, come out. That's what I mean. Come out yesterday and say, you know what, got that totally wrong. Shouldn't have gone back to back four.
And as football fans,
quiz him on it.
We need to hear that. For me, I can accept experiments and going wrong and losing. Sometimes you get pumped. But if the manager comes out, I did it because of this. This was my thinking. Yeah. But you know what? I got it wrong. And I hold my hands up and I take responsibility. That results on me. Sometimes, as a fan, you need to hear that because I've heard your explanation, but I need you to own that because you've put them players in those situations, nobody else.
Yeah, and I also didn't like it. He made a comment about it being a difficult environment for the players to play in. And that's a pop at the fans, whether however you dress it up. And he'll quickly lose that credit he had for being an ex-player and being in the local region, if he's got any credit left at all, to be honest, after, 10 defeats in 14. It's a pathetic record. So what he's got to be smug and smarmy about, I'm not too sure, to be honest. But his credit's running out. Well, I never wanted him in the first place, so he never had any credit for me. But the longer this goes on, like you said, Ryan, the one thing he probably could give himself, get people back on side for, is, like you said, coming out, being honest, being brave, explaining his decisions. Yeah, I didn't really like what I saw yesterday and what I heard from him after the game either.
Not me neither, but I tell you what is difficult. On this podcast, there's $2,500 worth of season ticket going in. There's hours, and obviously the podcast, you give it your time, I appreciate that. You're travelling to the game, Nockie's going with his family, I'm going with my family. Tyler, you take your lad. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable, and you need some ownership now. I've met Rob a few times. He's a nice guy, but that's only going to take you so far, like you said, Tyler. I need you to own it. I want you to do well for us. At the moment, I don't think you're doing as good as you could do. But when you are making a mistake, I need you to own it because I need you to hear to own it. So no, I understand. Instead of telling us a tactical explanation, but not actually owning what you've done as a mistake. This is episode 155 of the Wolves Report. Mark Knock, Chris Tyler, and myself, Ryan Lester. This should be fun. Going through the team, Knocky, we always start with Jose Sarr. I don't know what Jose Sarr could have done, really. He's got up against Cole Palmer, who's on a hot run of form. Could Jose Sarr have done much more that day?
No, I mean, he's beat by 2 penalties, which is always favouring the attacker. And he's been beaten by a strike from sort of 10, 12 yards, which he's never going to save. Made a good stop from Gusto in his first or second half, but didn't have a
second half, I think that was.
Yeah, he didn't have a great deal to do. They had all the pressure and all the play. They didn't create too much because they were 3-0 up and they were comfortable. So he was all right. He was. You can't really blame him for anything that went wrong.
Tyler, where do we start here then? I'm trying to think which is the best defender, but they've all, I mean, Santiago is probably the one that didn't really do
by default,
a lot wrong, but the pick of a bad wench, and he's probably not getting over above a 5 out of 10. But yeah, your take on Santiago Bueno and Yerson Mosquera, please.
I mean, before that, just look at the state of that back four. Jokes aside, look at the state of that. A team that's been in this league for 9 years, and that's what you're rolling out as your back four. If that doesn't tell you how far we've fallen, nothing else will.
Well, how does Ladislav Krejci not start? In the back four, you have people on their natural side, and naturally then you're going to be able to bring the ball out and defend better. To leave Ladislav out,
it was just all wrong, wasn't it? I mean, Mosquera, I know you like him, Ryan, and we've had a few ding-dongs in the past. I've never seen anything in him, and his first touch, he nearly kicked it out straight out for a corner when there's no one anywhere near him, and it's just a simple pass. He then played everyone onside for another attack. He was like 2 yards deep and everyone else. Then he conceded his penalty. It was just a disaster class from him, and people like him because he's a bit of a character and he's, he looks committed. But the guy's a liability for me, total liability. Santi, I quite like Santi in the middle of a back three. I think he's got a calmness and a head about him, but you can't play in a back four. So just not up to it. And yeah, you can let Knocker talk about the fullbacks then before I throw my laptop out the window.
Knocky, I'll start with Hugo Bueno. And a few of the comments are saying, I think he's right. Actually, I thought he did, other than the time he got run over because Neto ran past him like he was Adama Traore. I actually thought he did all right at the start because the fans were getting on his back a little bit. He was putting some good tackles in. He didn't start the game too badly. But by the time he had to defend against him next, the game was over. So I thought Hugo Bueno was okay, but I thought he got bullied by Pedro Neto for the goal. And obviously, you've only got to get past the defender once and you're in trouble, aren't you? But Matt Doherty, I have some sympathy for Matt Doherty, but again, I just cannot understand with what you have available to you, why are you picking a Matt Doherty and someone that just didn't look match sharp to me?
Yeah, it was a disaster, wasn't it? I mean, he gave a penalty away. They just ran rings around him, passed it round him and threw him. I think Edwards hung him out to dry by playing him there, especially against a team of this quality. So he was really poor. I can't think of anything really positive he did. He hasn't got the legs to get at the pitch and overlap and support the attack. I like Matt Doherty. I think he's been great for us. But as Tyler said, just look at that back four and you can see exactly why we've gone from circling the drain to ploughing straight through it.
And I've got to be honest, just on that back four, I don't know if that back four is good enough to be a championship top six side.
No chance.
I don't think it is, and that's just that's poor show.
We haven't got the centre halves to play that system. I mean, I like Bueno.
So why do it then? Why we've been set up for like 7, 8 years, 9 years to be a team that plays with 3 centre backs? Why are we asking all those players there? 2 wing backs and 2 centre backs that play in a 3. Why are we asking all those players that are so used to a system when they know it against some world class footballers? It makes no sense.
But the managers seem to do it, don't they? I mean, there was a time when Nuno was desperate to get Cody in a back four. They all seem to want to revert back to a back four because it gives you a little bit more attacking prowess. But we haven't got the personnel to do it. Mosquera, Bueno can't play in a 2. Krejci, I don't think he can play in a 2. I think he's suited to a 3. So if you play them as a 3, they can cover and protect each other. Hugo Bueno can't play as a left back because he's not a left back, he's a wing back. You want him advancing, you want him with a little bit of space sitting on the halfway line, supporting the attack, then dropping back to defend. And then we've got Rodders, who isn't a right back, but he can play right wing back. So you want him in that position. The fact that you've tried a 4 when we haven't got the personnel to do it, and for me, it is purely so that we can shoehorn the new signings and Hwang into the same team. That's the only reason I can think we've done it. But it was never going to work. And to experiment in a game like that, I'd love someone to ask Rob Edwards an honest, genuine question as to what the science was behind that decision, because I just can't think of any logical reason you would think that back 4 is going to be competitive against Chelsea.
Yeah, it felt for me like 200 people were out of position and it was just shoehorning. And don't experiment when people are coming to support their team. Not in a game like that. Centre midfielders, Tyler, João Gomez and Angel Gomez.
Yeah, Angel was the bright spark, wasn't he? Already head and shoulders above anything we've got in the squad. He's got an ability to get the ball and pass it forwards, which is quite refreshing to see from somebody in that position. People have obviously not in straight comparison sort of compared him a bit to how Moutinho played the game. He's a slight figure. He's constantly scanning. He knows exactly who's around him and where. You can just tell he's a player that's far too
good range of pass. Not just short and sharp, can switch as well.
Yeah, over the top. Played Hugo in a couple of times. Nice switch. Yeah, neat and tidy. You can just tell, like I said, far too good for anything we've got. João Gomez, I think he's flattered to deceive, obviously, the last few weeks. It's probably another partner for him to find. And I don't know. Obviously, we've got to try and find a balance of, do you go with those 2 and Andre behind them, or does Angel Gomez sit in front of the back 4 and try and dictate the play? That's what Rob's got to try and figure out. But yeah, Angel was the bright spot, wasn't he, by a mile. And like I said earlier, if I was him, I'm not hanging around here much longer.
Yeah, disappointing. Where do we go here? Nocky, tell me about Adam Armstrong's debut and Mateus Mane.
I liked Armstrong. I don't think it's fair to really judge him purely on that performance because we couldn't get the ball up to him, even with Angel Gomez's movement. We struggled because of the quality they've got. But he did get himself an assist. Nice flick on for a corner, which has caused chaos, and we've got the goal. He was a willing runner. He's quite physical. He put himself about, ran into spaces. I think if we can play him kind of in a 2 with Tolu, I can see them 2 bouncing off each other quite nicely. Because he has got that little bit of pace that we've been missing up front. So I'm not going to criticise him at all. Mane had some good moments. Lovely little dink chip to hit the post. Was unlucky with that. Tried, worked hard, but again, that when you've got a back four like that, you're going to struggle to get your quality players, which everyone in that front line, apart from Hwang, you're not going to get them into the game, are you? So that was a problem to get the ball upfield, and it kept coming back. But there was some positive moments from Matthias Mane and Armstrong and Angel Gomez as well. I certainly do like the look of him.
Moving.
Just skip over him and
moving
on
to Hwang Hee-chan. People on social media, it's always Hwang, you're blaming Hwang, it's always him. What about everyone else?
There's a reason for it though.
Because this is the one guy that I feel like the manager talks about in his press conferences about how intelligent he is. He doesn't need to tell him what to do, what a good guy he is, you know what I mean, how hard he works. He might be an intelligent person, but he's certainly not somebody that plays with intelligence. He looks shot to pieces now. I don't agree with the jeering or the booing, but equally, I blame the people that keep picking him. I don't blame Hwang. If you're not good enough, you can't help but only if you're doing your best, which I don't think he is, then you know what I mean, you shouldn't get any criticism. But he's in that team and he's getting stick because people keep picking him. I've seen nothing to suggest he can play on the right wing for Wolverhampton Wanderers ever. In 4 or 5 years, I've not seen one thing to think he's really good in that position. Nothing at all. Does his best work inside the box, in and around the penalty area. He's an instinct finisher. He's improved a little bit up front alongside Tolo. I know. So let's put him out wide. He had an absolute stinker again, guys. And I just don't. People have joked about it and said the muscular clause in his contract. I don't believe that is the case. So what am I missing? What are people seeing in the guy to think that he can play on the right wing?
I don't know is the honest answer. He can't play on the right wing. He can't play up front. And I know you said earlier he's he's better when he's playing in a two with Tolu, but that's because he set the bar so low this season that it would be hard to be worse. I don't think he offers anything. He's not going to be there next season. There's not a chance in hell. So surely you're looking at blooding someone else in that spot now who you think can do a job. It's not doing him any good. I mean, the loudest cheer yesterday was when he went off injured. And I don't like that. I know I wouldn't do that. That's not something that I believe in. But you can understand people's frustrations. But mentally, that's not going to do him any good, is it? So we're kind of putting him in a little bit of a difficult situation at the moment. He's just not offering anything. He's just not got any kind of positive quality. Like you look at Matthias Mane, wasn't hugely influential, but had a really big moment when he hit the post and he was available and he was playing the balls through. Angel Gomez, couple of lovely little passes through. Adam Armstrong, movement.
Tolu gets to the crowd, give you some entertainment, something to think about. That's what you pay your money for.
Exactly that. But then if you look at Hwang's performance, he's the only one out of that front sort of 4 or 5 players who did absolutely nothing the time he was on the pitch. And that's where the issue is.
So do you think there's a situation now? Because obviously Rob alluded to yesterday, it wasn't a particularly nice environment to play in. You mentioned his press conference. It's not nice when the fans are obviously doing this. Do you think now there's a manager that's going too far to stand by his man? Because he's telling us all these positive things about him, about what a good guy he is, how intelligent he is, how hard he's working. He doesn't need to tell him what to do because he already knows he's the coach on the pitch, all this kind of stuff. But we're not seeing anything from the player at all. Has it become a situation now where the manager's just proving a point because he's had a hard time on the pitch from the fans?
I don't know, mate. Because like you said at the start, he's not the first manager that keeps picking him. And this is why I'm with you. I'm old in the tooth that there can't be a clause in his contract. I'd be very surprised. But it does make you wonder because Edwards isn't the first manager. Gary O'Neill loved him. Absolutely loved him. You know, he's not the first manager to love him. And there's obviously something around the place he does or in training or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, Edwards knows that his comments yesterday was silly because he knows this fan base. He knows how we work. If, like you said, those are the 3 or 4, at least they put a bit of a shift in and they grafted a bit. So you sort of buy into that. We've seen Hwang at the moment stroll around the pitch, walk around the pitch, flutter his arms in the air if he gives the ball. He's just not bothered. And like Knocker said, there's no chance he's playing in the Championship next season. So cut your losses, get rid. You know, the one thing he's doing, he's got rid of Benetzi, he's got rid of those sort of players that either aren't good enough or don't want to be here. And he fits into that bracket. He's in that bracket. He has to go.
Yeah, I mean, the front 4, Matthias Mane, had some impact, hit the post. Adam Armstrong worked hard, got an assist on his debut. Tolo goal. Hwang.
But we're 3-5-2, aren't we? We have to be 3-5-2 with Armstrong and Tolo. with Angle in the pivot and Mane and Go. That's our team, isn't it? That's
you
what
put
we
Ladislav
do.
in for Hwang. That's how
Yeah,
easy it is.
it's not difficult.
You've pretty much got the team. It almost feels like to me, it's been shoehorned, as Nocky said, to get the new signings in and Hwang in. And as a result, we've had to drop our best defender. It's almost unforgivable, but I'm not even going to rate Hwang because equally I'm as disappointed with Edwards as I am for Hwang because he needs to be taken out of the 4-9, and who knows if he's injured or not anyway. But Nocky finishing off on Tolu. Again, I felt a little bit sorry for him because if you had Adam Armstrong who's buzzing around off you, feeding off like your chest or your knockdowns and stuff, you can have someone with you. I thought it was a little bit isolated, but I actually thought he was okay. I thought some of his link-up play when he held up the ball well, doing the job that we've been asked him to do since he's come into the team.
He was isolated. He needed someone to be playing in and around him, and we didn't give him that level of support. But he took his goal well. I mean, I know he's only a few yards out, but he's still got to swivel and hit it and keep the defenders away from him. So he's took that well. He's got himself on the score sheet. Didn't do a lot else, but I'm not going to blame him for that because we didn't really get the ball forward after the 10th minute. So he did okay. He got a goal. So you've got to be happy with what he's done. But I agree, 3-5-2 with Armstrong closer to him, you'll see a better Tolu and you'll see a better Armstrong as well.
Absolutely. This is episode 155 of the Wolves Report. Nocky, Tyler and myself, Ryan Lester. The transfer window closed last Monday and Wolves did a reasonable amount of outgoing business. Again, this has split the fan base in terms of don't really care about the money, but in terms of if the money's coming back to Wolverhampton Wanderers to invest next season, I would have to say, Tyler, it is good business. Now, again, I know we differ on this, but to make a profit on 3 substitutes, for me, is good, but it only becomes great business if it's reinvested well.
Yeah, we do differ, and I get your point. You want the finances in a good place, but I don't support Wolves for them to have a healthy P&L. I support them to be a good football team on the pitch. You're right about the substitutes, but there's no way in the world there should be substitutes. Strand Larson was top scorer last season. Agbadu last season was our best centre-half, and Arias was brought to replace Kuna. So those 3 shouldn't be substitutes. It's a mark of where we are that they ended up being substitutes. I'm old school. I'd much rather you spend money on those 3 players. They have 4 or 5 good seasons at Wolves, and then they leave for next to nothing because it means you've developed on the pitch. It means you've progressed as a football club. It means you're in the Premier League, which brings in more revenue anyway. But I get the point you make around, we haven't necessarily lost any money on them. Big question is, and it's the big if, isn't it? Will that money be invested and put towards next season? And until then, we don't know. History tells me no, but there's always a bit of hope, isn't there, that kills you?
Like in recent times, over the last few years, we've seen, for me, my opinion is Wolverhampton Wanderers bullied in the transfer window, particularly when it comes to outgoing business. We'll set our minds back to Ryan Aït-Nouri and the absolutely abysmal fee the football club and probably Jeff Shea agreed to go to Man City. This is the Ryan Aït-Nouri that sort of pocketed Mo Salah again today, and he's playing with the second favourites to win the Premier League and looking quite comfortable. That we gave away in terms of modern fees for pretty much nothing. What is pleasing, it didn't feel like that was the case this window. We turned down, I think, the first bids for Arias. I think we turned down several bids for Agbadu, and we turned down like bids in the region of £35 million for Strand Larson. It's not going to change the world, but it is nice to see our team not being bullied in the transfer window, them standing up for themselves and getting the target that they want.
It is, but I'm loath to give them too much credit because neither of these players have done sort of 18 months with us. They've come in, they've failed, and they've been removed from the club. So the initial transfer business itself was wrong, even though we've turned a little bit of a profit on them. Arias, we hoped we were going to see a really good player there. He looked great. He looked great in the Club World Cup, but he's been a disaster. Strand Larson, regardless of what anyone else says, he downed tools when Newcastle came in for him. And if you saw him today against for Palace, he was winning flick-ons. He was running into space. He was geeing the crowd up. He looked like a really good footballer today. So that kind of tells you something about him as a person. And Agbadu was another one who just didn't want to be here. So yes, they've done well to turn a bit of a profit on these players. but we failed initially with this transfer business. You look at Fer Lopez, we've sent him out. So the players that we bought in for huge money this season and last season, most of them I think have been a bit of a disaster. So yeah, well done, you've got a bit of money back. But if you got it right in the first place, I'd rather not have the money and have Wolves sat halfway up the league because we invested properly. We just haven't done that.
Yeah, it is a bit of a stinker. And you look at the recent transfer business. I mean, I would argue, Tyler, that the Wolves model to bring players in development and then make a profit, well, that was the case with Strand Larsen because he had a great first season. Wolves have probably made about 15, 20 million quid. That's the model. So you would say that's a success. But you're also right in what you've said in terms of what happened to that player of last season, because whatever happened or was promised after the Newcastle transfer sort of saga, he was nowhere near, and he was a shadow of himself. He didn't look as interested. He looked a bit stroppy when he got his hat-trick against Shrewsbury. But again, it only becomes good if Wolves reinvest that well next season.
Yeah, and this is a tongue-in-cheek question, but what did we buy Jimenez for? 35 million?
Yeah, 34, 35 million. Sold him for 5 million.
Sold him for 5. What would you prefer?
But he was stunning. Absolutely stunning. Still doing the job for Fulham now.
And that's my argument. As a football fan, that's where I'm at. I'd rather spend 35 million, you have 3, 4, 5 brilliant years, and you sell for nothing. I don't go and watch Wolves for them to make a profit on their P&L. I don't. I go to watch them win football matches. And that's a nice to have for me that, yeah, you can do it. But I'm with Nocky. I just personally think it's hard to give credit because there's an argument they're all failed. And if you add Manetzi and De Giga into that were also the same window, I'm not quite sure you can give too much credit.
No, I understand that anyone would be reluctant to give credit, and I'm not giving credit, but I think I have to acknowledge that I'm pleased with the way they've done business for those 3 players to make profit on them all. But again, I keep repeating it, it only becomes really good if it's reinvested well, which remains to be seen. This is episode 155 of the Wolves Report with Nocky, Tyler and myself, Ryan Lester. We saw 2 bits of incoming business. We've talked to them a little bit, really. I'm happy with Angel Gomez, Nocky. Again, I think this is a deal that's been put in place where we get an extra bit of quality in, and he's got an opportunity to put himself for a Premier League move. I'd be stunned if a player of his talent plays in the Championship next season.
Yeah, it allowed us to get rid of Arias, didn't it? Essentially, because he comes into a similar kind of position. He's a very good footballer. He's very tidy. He's quality. He won't be at Wolves next season. I know we've got an option for, 7 million quid? For 7 million quid, someone's going to come and take him if there's anything around that. If you don't buy him through the option, there'll be promoted teams who want him. There'll be teams in his division now who want him. He's far too good to be in the Premier League, good to be in the Championship next season. So I don't see any way he'll be at Wolves. You just got to enjoy him while he's here, and hopefully he can be a bit of a driving force to get us enough points to beat Derby's record. That's kind of a bit of a win for us if he comes in and does that.
As for Adam Armstrong, Tyler, again, people were like, well, this is not good enough. Well, we're not really planning for now, are we? We're planning for next season. And this is someone that's, I think, hit 20 and hit 30 once. So this, for me, is someone that's going to have a bit of Premier League time, but the club's very much focused on having a striker coming into his prime that he's proven to score between 20 and 30 goals in the Championship next season. Yeah,
totally agree. Yeah, he's not bought for the here and now, is he? He's brought in to get him up to speed, and yeah, he's definitely to be the man next season. It'll be interesting if Che Adams is the person they're trying to partner him with, isn't it? There's obviously rumours around him this month. He wants to come back to England. Yeah, you've sort of, again, it shows how far we've fallen, but they're your realistic sort of targets now, aren't they? And I think if you opened up the season with that, like Adams and Armstrong as your front 2, it's probably about what you can ask for, really.
Well, I think between them, they were got between 40 and 50 goals the last time they played together a full season in the Championship, and that's a massive head start over most teams. Both players coming into their prime now. I think Che Adams is 29. I think Adam Armstrong's 28, 29 in February. So guys who are strikers in terms of your peak years, isn't it, between sort of 29 to 31, 32. I'm happy with that, Nocky. Some people wanted more with the window. I think it's sensible. I know Wolves haven't been sensible for a while, but as Matt Jackson said in the meeting, it's very hard to attract people now because we know what's going to happen. You've really got to sign people that really want to be here. So for me, it's sensible. Yes, it doesn't tick all the boxes, but I feel Wolves have had a sensible window. And granted, I know that's not for everybody.
Yeah, I don't think picking up Armstrong for what, £7 million, something like that. I think that's good money because he almost guarantees your goals if he stays fit. Angel Gomez, was it £1 million loan? I think that makes smart business if it gives you an opportunity to get rid of Arias. I'm comfortable with the business. I think people need to start managing their expectations for next season because we're not going to be signing the Ruben Neveses and Jotas and Helder Costa, Cavalleros. We're not going to do that next season. We're going to be working on a budget. So your Che Adams and Adam Armstrong, they should get you goals, and that's going to make you better up front than a big chunk of the league. But we're going to have to be smart in our business because we're not going to get out there and be a massive force in the transfer market. We're going to have to do things sensibly. So for me, I think those two starting next season, it's probably a drop on what we would have expected. But Tolu's not going to play Championship football, so you've got to find a solution around him. And I think those two are probably the best of what a club of our size and ambition can probably expect.
Absolutely. The next section, we're going to talk about Rob Edwards. He came in for a lot of criticism, obviously, from us, and there's a lot of questions as well. So I think we need to have a little look and a question of Rob Edwards so far. Now, are Wolves in a worse situation than when Rob took over? Yes. Did Rob Edwards give us our first win the previous manager couldn't do? Yes. Is the fan base united in trusting Rob Edwards to take us back? I'm not sure they are. Tyler, your take on Rob Edwards so far, and your opinion on him being the man to take Wolves back to the Premier League.
I think you know the answer. As I said, I didn't want him at the time. I don't think he's got the credentials to rebuild a football club, which is basically what we need done to us. He's lost 10 out of his 14 league games. I think we were 8 points off safety when he joined, and now I think it could be 21 points if we lose to Forest. I haven't really got anything positive to say about the guy, if I'm being honest. I did tweet a few weeks ago that it was enjoyable watching Wolves again, and that's because he'd found that style, that formation. But now he's walked away from that.
Why change it?
Yeah, like you mentioned, it doesn't make any sense. He's like I said, he dug out the environment yesterday. Keeps picking players that obviously we've talked about earlier. I just think the job's too big for him. Like I said, I don't think he's got anything on his CV or anything credential-wise that makes me confident that he can rebuild this football club and turn it round. And like I said, I didn't want him here in the first place, so I'm probably not the right person to talk to about him being the man to take us forward, because I don't think he's that man. Where do you draw the line if you lose against Forest and then you're going to lose against Arsenal? That'll be one win in 16. It's untenable, isn't it? You can't go on from there, can you? I think he will, and I think Nockie's right. I think he's given the job. But the other interesting point is he's Jeff Shee's last hurrah, isn't he? In a way, exactly that. And you know, I'm just not convinced by him at all, and I don't like him after this weekend and the comments he made. I don't like the smugness he's got. So yeah, he's going to take a lot to convince me. Put it that way.
Nockie, in Rob Edwards, I'm trying to add some balance now. In Rob Edwards, we've got someone that really wants to be here now, because Middlesbrough are going to get promoted. He sort of laid the foundations for there. He could have gone up. So you get a job with more money close to home. I respect that. I mean, it's a crazy move, but if you spent most of your playing and coaching career at whatever levels of Wolves, you can understand the desire to come back. So the box ticking that you want to be here and you are genuine, it's not just a hop. I like that. That's fine. Now, from what I understand, it's a better working environment with the people around the club, because obviously he's more invested, he cares more, the people are happier, he acknowledges the people around the club more, little things. But onto the playing side, as Tyler said, we did have a couple of fun times. I enjoyed the performance at Old Trafford. I enjoyed the win against West Ham. There's been some spunky moments which I've enjoyed. As Tyler said, it felt like we had our Wolves back again. Gone to Man City, changed it, which I don't really understand. He changed it again on Saturday. So tactically now, Nocky, I'm starting to have some concerns.
I thought you were trying to give the balance.
I tried. That was balance, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, I mean, I normally agree with most of what you two have said, but I've got to disagree. I think if Wolves were to be relegated, which we will be, he's the sort of manager we would be looking at to bring us back up. He took over Luton when they were on an absolute shoestring and got them promoted and made a right good fist of it in the Premier League as well. He would have taken Borough up. He's set them foundations and he's had a really, he set them up for success. I don't want to be too critical because I kind of understand why he's testing the waters now in terms of shape and system. No, he should not have done it yesterday. That was a suicidal move. But he's got to start trying to experiment in what he thinks is going to work for us. He's brought in 2 players. I think he probably had a big hand to play in both of those signings. And for me, they're the right signings to make. So I don't want to be too critical until he's had a full window. He came in at a time where, yes, we were only 8 points from safety, but this club was an utter shambles at that point. There was no cohesion. There was no togetherness. We were all separated. The football was absolutely abysmal. We weren't going anywhere. He was very brave or stupid to take the job, whichever opinion you've kind of got of him. But I'm going to give him a little bit more time. I'm not in the camp that we should be pulling the trigger yet. I don't think there's any way he gets sacked this season, if I'm being honest. I think he starts next season, unless we are catastrophic for the remaining, 13, 14 games and we lose 4-5-0 every week. I think he keeps his job. Give him a full transfer window. Let him have the summer and the pre-season and give him an opportunity to rebuild, bring in the players he wants to bring in, put his spin on what we're doing, and then let's judge him after that. But I do think if we are not in the top sort of, you want to say top 6 really is where we should be aiming at. If we're not in the top 6 October-wise, then I think he's banging trouble. But I don't believe they will sack him, and I don't think there's any sensible reason to sack him at this stage, is my opinion.
Yeah, Nocky, that's really clear. I'm not calling for his head right now. But I'm just raising concerns because I am concerned because, as Tyler said, as we all agree on, he almost stumbled across this setup. It worked. We're unfortunate at Arsenal. We're unfortunate at Liverpool. And then we started to get a couple of points and then we got a win. And he found a system, excuse me, and it worked. And he was getting the best out of like an average bunch of players. But then he started changing it and switching it around. And that for me is a concern, Tyler, because as you said, I enjoyed those games. I knew we were going to get relegated, but there was a bit of bite, a bit of shake. They were organised. Everyone knew their jobs when you were dropping in, when you were getting forward. That's gone again now. So from finding that, you've tinkered at Man City. We didn't really cover from that. Game over at half-time. We tinkered against Chelsea. Game over at half-time. These are the concerns that I have. I want Rob Edwards to succeed. I do genuinely think he's frustrated and he maybe said some things that he'll regret. I think there's a decent bloke there, but I am concerned.
Yes, I am. I don't care if he's a decent bloke, to be honest. I couldn't give a toss. You know, you want what's best for your football team, and Nocky's points are all valid and they're hard to disagree with. I'd argue Wolverhampton Wanderers, no disrespect to Luton and Middlesbrough to a point, it's a different beast. It's different circumstances. And, you know, he's been at Forest Green, Luton, Watford, this is a different size football club. And it's more for me the fact of where we're coming from. I think Nocky's right. If you were sort of in the Championship and you were trying to get out of it, he'd be a good man for it. I just worry about where we are and the downward trajectory that we're on. And obviously, you nearly took Luton down twice. Like I said, you're talking to the wrong man if you want positives for him. So I just don't personally rate him as a football manager or a coach. Like you said, he stumbled across something good, and then he moved away from that, and that for me raises alarm bells as well. Only time will tell. You know, you can't keep sacking football managers. That's something we all agree on. But you know, I think Greg said if you lose the next sort of 4 or 5, what, you just keep going?
Yeah, you lose the next 4 or 5.
Where did you draw the line?
You lose the next 4 or 5. You go out the FA Cup and then you get done at home to Villa. You're not going to recover that, fat boys. Go on.
What was your expectation when he came in? What was your expectation to what you thought he would do? Because we were having conversations that we didn't actually think we were going to win a game. So Rob Edwards comes in. What was your expectation?
My expectation was the shape and the organisation of what he got us, and that mini run of games we had when we were unbeaten for 4 or 5 games. That's my expectation, to make us hard to beat, to make us proud again. And he did that, but he's undone that by tinkering it. We needed Tolu in. As soon as Tolu came in, we looked like a different team because we had someone at the top of the pitch. Then he drops him. Man City pump us because the ball's coming back. And then on Saturday, he tinkered it to a back 4. So knock it up. He found what I expected him to do by making us hard to beat and making us almost enjoyable at times again. But he's undone that work, as they said. So he kind of done what I wanted, and now he's gone backwards, and I don't understand it.
So are you saying that the 2 games that he's kind of caused you to question him is the City game and the Chelsea game?
Yes.
So surely they're the games, in a sense, you tinker because you're not going to get anything anyway.
No, I would tinker against the weaker teams.
Oh, you say it, mate. We got done at home by Brentford and Bournemouth without putting up a fight. It's not just those games; it's all of them. I have no expectations. I didn't have any because I don't think he's a very good football manager. I didn't have any expectations, but like I said on the start, to see us whimper week after week after week and not put up a fight is just soul destroying, and that's how I feel about it.
That's what it looks
like. I don't disagree with that at all, and I'm not buying or selling. It's just I'm trying to be balanced on the way I approach it, and it's you can't legislate for what Doherty and Mosquera did yesterday. The heads dropped as soon as the ball hit the back of the net. That's on the players, but then you could argue the amount of damage they've had done to them over the last few months. You can kind of understand why that happened because they're human beings. As much as I've been critical, you take the emotion out of it, they've been through the ringer, haven't they? So I think the best performances this season have come under Edwards. The majority of points have come under Edwards. The times where we've looked more stable and more solid, they've come under Edwards. So I do get both of your points that this can't carry on. But at the same time, if you sack him, you're going to have to find someone else. You're not going to get anyone of note with the position we're in. So that probably means you're going to be heading towards relegation and next season without a clear plan and a structure. Whereas for me, we're in the enviable position now that we know exactly where we're going to be next season. So we're already in a position where Rob Edwards should be building now. He should know who's going to leave. He should have his list ready for who we're going to get. And you do that as soon as you can. You get those moves in place by pre-season. There's absolutely no excuse for clearing out all of this squad and bringing in the players that you want, because you should already be having those conversations and getting those deals prepped. So if you undo that work and you bring somebody else in, do they want Armstrong? Do they want an Angel Gomez? Do they want to play this system? Are you going back and starting all over again? That's my nervousness. We keep sacking managers and we keep reverting back to what we want to do when it goes pear-shaped. The time Wolves have had their best line of stability under Fosun is when we had Nuno for a long period of time because we gave him time. And then when we did have a season that wasn't great, we let him go again and we rebuilt and we cleared players out and we rebuilt. Then we got into this habit. The things go wrong, bang, we pull the trigger, and then we have to go again. And you're in a position where you keep repeating that same cycle. I think we're in a situation
Nuno's the only managerial appointment they've got right. He's the only one that Fosun have got right.
Absolutely, but they're stuck with him.
It's not a like for like comparison, is it?
But the point is, mate, that I'm making is that you've got to give managers time.
They didn't stick with him. They didn't need to stick with him because he had instant success. So you're talking about what do you want? You want success, don't you, as a football fan? You want to see improvement. You want to see progression. You want to see development. We saw all of that under Nuno because he had the gravitas and the aura to rebuild the football club. I've just seen nothing from Rob Edwards that makes me think he's the man for that job. You're talking about long-term planning. We've got an interim chairman. What message does that give to anybody? Because that's not long-term planning. That's not succession planning. We keep promoting. So come out and announce it then. But again, he's got us three are more qualified to talk about football than him. So again, if that's Fosun's decision, fine, on their head be it. But I think we'd all agree that will be a disaster. And the continuous culture to promote from within this football club of people that have failed and get promoted is unacceptable. We wouldn't see it in our walk of life, in our jobs every day. So you wouldn't see it. So I'm with you. You can't keep sacking managers. At some point, you've got to buck the trend. But Nuno had instant success. He was the only managerial appointment that Fosun have got right, and that's why my issues lie with Fosun, not Jeff Shee, not Nathan Shee. They pull the strings. It's Fosun. Whether they got lucky or whether they got good, who knows? But I just want to see something from Edwards, some credibility, some aura, something about him that makes me want to buy into him, and I've just not seen anything.
We did it for a few weeks, but this is my problem. He changed it for no reason. Football's a simple game. If you're doing something well, doesn't matter who you're playing, don't change it. Stick with it. Stick with it, or tweak it slightly. You made two massive changes against two really good teams, and the game's over at half time. Why are you moving away from something that worked well? Now, people would say, like you said, it's Man City and Chelsea, so what? But what message is it sending? Why are you changing it? You found success now. You've steadied the ship. We're harder to beat. We're scoring a few goals. Oh no, I'll change it now. It makes no sense to me, Knocker, and it worries me.
No, and you're absolutely right, and you both make absolutely valid points. But if we want to make the Nuno comparison, when Nuno came in, we gave him Neves, we gave him Costa, we gave him Cavallero, we gave him Diogo Jota, we gave him Romain Saiz, we gave him Willy Bolly, we gave him Leo Bonatini, we gave him quality players. Edwards has walked into a job where every single element of that club, from the top right through to the supporters, are on their knees, and we know the situation we're in. I'm not sure any manager in world football is going to come in and turn that ship around. So to judge Edwards purely on this last 14 games, and yes, he's made mistakes, for me, that's unfair. It's not his squad. It's not his team. He is making a few errors, absolutely. But he's got to start looking towards next season. So I'm not defending Edwards. I'm just saying we need to be balanced about how much we criticise him for stuff that is probably out of his control. Stuff that's in his control, those selections yesterday, 100% right. Yeah, you pull him up on that. You try and understand that decision. But he didn't put us in this mess. He came to try and put some respectability onto it. That's kind of my point.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really fair, Tyler. Knocky's. I mean,
I'm not disagreeing with him. I'm not, but he like you've just said, he did go a bit towards doing that. We'd all bought about a month ago. We'd all bought into him, and now we're having the same conversations. You said it earlier, Lockie. The same mistakes are creeping in, the same errors that we'd wiped out. They're coming back. Saturday for me was a shambles. Bournemouth at home was a shambles, as bad as it ever was under Pereira for me. So he's gone from sort of getting everyone back on side to a point and thinking, yeah, you know what, this is all right. I quite like watching Wolves again. So now it's just like it's as bad as it's been for me again.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm being too critical. I don't know.
No, absolutely not. I'm sat somewhere in the middle of you both, and it's great that we've all got slightly different views because we all want the best for Wolves. I want Rob to succeed. It would be nice for someone that's played to do, but like you say, Tyler, I don't really care as long as the person comes in and is successful. If they're a nice guy, it's a bonus. The main thing I want is success for my football club, which is promotion next season and going back into the Premier League. I want who can do that. If they're a guy that's been played here and he's a nice guy as well, fantastic. But let's see. Let's see how we get on Wednesday against Forest and Grimsby. Let's take a few questions. This is episode 155 of the Wolves Report.
I'm on the clock, son. I'm on the clock.
Tyler, Angry Knocky, and myself.
You need to learn some time management skills, son.
I didn't set you a time tonight. Let's get this belter from Borley straight away. It's the stinker. How much are we getting for Mane in the summer?
50 million.
Yeah, he goes 45, 50 million.
Yeah, I think so. I think Borley, the stronger he ends his season, the more strength Wolves hold, because we've seen the money flying around for Premier League footballers. He's 18 years old and he's doing bits against good teams. Like he was good against Man City. He did a few things yesterday against Chelsea. Again, I think 50 is the minimum. 18 years old.
But why not sell him and get him back for a year?
That's exactly where my idea is.
There's deals to be had here where, again, I wish the kid all the best, that he shouldn't be in this rut that we're in, but sell him and you get 12 months of him on loan. There's clever business that you can do with that deal.
I would say the biggest problem and likelihood is what Mane's agent decides what's best for him, because at the moment he's the hottest 18-year-old in the Premier League at the moment. Everyone's talking about him. He's someone that's come from the development and flown, and he looks one of our more comfortable players. I think 50 million is the bare minimum. Borley, thank you for being part of the latest Wolves Report. I'll do one more question because I don't want to get told off from Tyler. No one wants one of them DMs. You know what? We'll do. Apologies. I think there's enough questions. Let's talk about Wednesday night's game against Nottingham Forest. And I'm sorry,
It's gone.
against
It's gone.
Nottingham Forest and Grimsby Town on Sunday afternoon. Nocky, I'm not talking Tyler at the moment. So Nocky on Wednesday evening, 7:30 kickoff, Nottingham Forest away. I want to make a real fist of that. I don't want to make an experiment. I don't want to stick with the back four. I want to go back to what we're doing well, play the best players in their best positions, and play the style of football we've been playing that brought us a little bit of fun for a couple of weeks. It's not too much to ask, is it?
It's not, and I think one of you mentioned a bit of arrogance around Rob Edwards. This is going to be a real test of his arrogance, because I think we all know he should go back to a 3-5-2. You play Angel Gomez and João Gomez in the middle. You take Hwang out the team and you play Adam Armstrong close to Tolu. That's what should happen. Krejci comes back in as well. He's had a lot of stick for this formation, so if he learns from it and he changes it, then I think we'll all owe him a little bit of credit for doing that. But if he has that little bit of a I'm right mentality and sticks to this formation, it could be a really long afternoon for us, because, again, they're a team who like to use the wings. They like to hit you with some pace. They've got great movement as well. They're not in the best form, but they're clearly a better side than us. So if we go there with 4 centre-halves, I think we're going to be in for a really, really difficult evening. Hopefully he goes to the 3-5-2. We sit back. We look for our own break. We've now got a little bit of pace, and we've got someone who can find those forward runs, get someone closer to Tolu. They're not particularly solid defensively, so you can cause them a few issues. You can get Tolu engaging the back line and then Armstrong running off him. You maybe give yourself a chance, but it's all depending on what he does.
Team picks itself, really, doesn't it, Tyler? Krejci comes back in, Hwang comes back out. You switch to the sort of the 5-3-2 with Mane as the advanced midfielder, the 2 Gomez's in centre midfield, Armstrong feeding off the scraps that Tolu's going to provide for him. Probably put Rodrigo back in at right wing back on that side of the pitch. I'm not sure I want Doc at wing back.
I'd start Jackson there. Sounds pathetic. I'd start Jackson there.
Jesus, things are bad enough. Son.
I think Rodrigo is, for me, I think he's an impact player. I think he's brilliant coming off the bench. I'm not sure he impacts games when he starts them. And, Jackson is dodgy and he has his faults, but he's a tryer, and not many people beat him defensively. It's a low bar, don't get me wrong. But, yeah, I like Rodrigo coming off the bench for the last half an hour. I think that's his role in the team at the moment. But, the shape, Ryan, certainly picks itself. We can argue about the personnel, but the shape's a no-brainer. And Nocky makes a good point. It will be interesting now to see what he does.
Is there a case then in terms of, I know Rob says we want to make us more attacking. Well, why not play Pedro Lima? Pedro Lima is already noted for being a very good crosser of the ball. You've got a 6'6" centre forward. You've got the best crosser of the ball at the club on the bench, and we've got a problem at right wing back. There's an easy fix here for everybody. So put him in. You've got Mascara to protect him behind. Let's have a look at him. What have we got to lose? I think the team pretty much picks itself. Now, more importantly, on Sunday afternoon, Wolves go to Grimsby. We joked at the start of the season that we'd all take relegation if Wolves win the FA Cup. As it stands, that's still on at the moment. Very unlikely. So now, Grimsby is, I believe now that Arsenal game has been rearranged. So we've got Forest, Grimsby, Arsenal. I think someone can correct me if that's wrong.
Yeah.
How much focus should be on the Grimsby game here? Wolves are relegated. How are we looking? Are we going full blast on Wednesday, reassessing? Are we going full blast on Sunday, reassessing? And then if people need taking out against Arsenal, so be it. How are we approaching these games?
Go on, no, you go.
You don't want to lose to Grimsby, do you? I mean, that would just put the tin out on the season. And I know they've got a bit of previous with United. And I think last time we went down, didn't non-league Luton knock us out of the FA Cup? So you don't want to be getting beat in this game. I think you go. Forest is a game that we should be targeting for points. As bad as we are, they're in a real mess.
They're under real pressure, though. We're not under pressure here. They're going to be desperate to beat us.
Exactly.
We've got a Premier League record to still uphold, and
100%.
That's on the line.
But we're running out of these games now, so I think you've got to go full hammer in this one against a team who have to beat you, which is why I want us to play the 3-5-2, because we can sit and be horrible for the first 60, 70 minutes. They will then overcome it, and that's when you start getting your spacing behind. So I think you've got to target that one. Grimsby, you've got to go strong. It's there's going to be some changes, of course. There is an opportunity to give players some minutes, but you've got to go strong and try and win it. And then you're going to have to go strong against Arsenal, because I still think at some point this season we're going to get an absolute doing. And if you're not fully turned on and operational against that Arsenal side, the game's going to be over very quickly and it could get embarrassing. So I think you go pretty much as strong as you can for the 3 games, maybe a couple of changes against Grimsby, but not enough to impact the quality. You try and get yourself something out of the next couple. Maybe if you can get something at Forest, beat Grimsby, you're going to lose to Arsenal, aren't you? It's not a terrible sequence then.
But what I don't want, I know we'll talk about Arsenal next week's show, what I don't want is that one of these weird experiments again, like we did at Man City, like we did against Chelsea. I don't want to see that. Let's stick with what we've done best. But anyway, it's prediction time. It's the favourite part of the show because Tyler gets his bongos. Tyler, your prediction against Nottingham Forest on Wednesday night.
This is a shambles. This podcast is a shambles.
Well, we were laughing then. It's the best bit of the week.
Oh God. If you'd asked me 3 weeks ago, I'd have been hopeful, but the last 2 or 3 have taken the wind out of me again. So 2-0 to Forest. I don't care who scores.
He's pinched me score. I was gonna go to. I'll give us a goal in this one. I'll go 3-1 Forest. Rat boy with the opener.
Right. Do I do a drum roll myself or?
Yeah, you got to do a drum roll, son. It's the only reason people tune in.
Timed that one really well. Wolves are going to win at Forest on Wednesday night. I don't know why. They're going to go back to the situation we wanted. The setup, the players. They'll win 2-1. It's going to be amazing. Amazing away.
You got to stop drinking, son.
Drinking water. I had too much at Christmas. Sunday afternoon, I think it might be on the old BT Sport or Discovery Plus, whatever it is. Wolves are playing Grimsby Town away. Sunday afternoon, Nocky.
It makes me laugh so much.
It's so ridiculous.
Let's finish with a positive one. Let's go 3-0 Wolves. Tolu with the opener.
Beautiful. Tolu
First
starts.
positive thing I've said in an hour and 20 minutes. That is.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I think we go there and win 2-0. They're 12th in League 2 for a reason, aren't they? So 2-0 and Mane.
I'm going to go 1-0 Hwang. I think he'll make loads of changes on Sunday. This has been.
If I went all the way to Grimsby and Wang scores and we win 1-0, you'll come away disappointed.
This has been episode 155 of the Wolves Report. We are slightly delusional. This is what Wolverhampton Wanderers does to you. It's a Sunday evening. Thank you, Nocky. Thank you, Tyler. Up the Wolves.